Hello and welcome to episode 7 of When Pigs Fly. I'm Patty McGuire. I am joined by Renee Masaccio and Tracy Melhado. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
So today we have a juicy topic that applies to many, and it is get out of your head. So what do we mean by that? So I'll give you my quick take on it. I'd love to hear what you girls think. For me, get out of your head gets goes along with and go into your heart. Because if you're in your head, you're on the struggle bus and you're in fight or flight, meaning you're trying to problem solve, you're on the gerbil wheel, you're swimming upstream. All of these things that don't serve you. You don't get answers there, right? You don't get resolution. I think it's important to point out when you get into your head and you're on that gerbil wheel, you are either trying to come up with a solution, right? Or you say, let me think about this, let me chew on it. All of these things mean struggle. And that is having the observation and the awareness that you're in your head and then saying, okay, wait, let me just drop back into my heart. Let me quiet my mind because from what we would call stillness or presence is actually where your solution's going to come from. So step like for me, my initial practice was just the recognition that I was in my head. Like, take this in little chunks. You can't eat the elephant in one bite, right? And so the first piece for me was just, okay, whoop, I'm in. And I actually gave it a name, the crap gap, because I wanted it to be dramatic. And I'm like, okay, I'm in the crap gap again because I'm thinking and rolling around solutions. And so, like, that's that for me, that was step one in the self-awareness. And I would love to hear what else you guys have to say about this.
Tracy, you want to go?
Sure. And this is a little bit a segue, but what came to me right away is trying to go to that place of neutrality. And in that place of neutrality is also a place of purity, which is also a place of from love, so from your heart. And I'm going to mention something I noticed recently. I love to watch channels and their 2024 predictions. And I noticed that I even myself, if I'm listening to someone that's channeling, it's almost as if I validate that intelligence more so than someone who's saying the same exact thing. Literally, it could be the same exact thing, but it's just the human speaking. And I had to say to myself, well, that's crap. Like, why are you valuing a channeled message, right?
Awesome.
She's channeling balloons right now.
As opposed to and even for myself, I'm going to bring it back to one of our episodes. I remember saying how magical your bed can be. Well, I was listening to, I don't know what, and it was, I think, Sarah Landon. She, honest to God, said the same exact thing, but channeling whoever she channels. And I was like, damn it, I said the same exact thing. I wonder if it will hit as true because it's me, a human, saying it as opposed to a channel. And I was watching myself, fascinated with how I was interpreting pure intelligence. Or so anyway, I had to get out of my own head, right? And analyze, like, why wouldn't I value someone that Patty and Renee said just as much as if I value something that Renee said while channeling? And it all comes back to kind of that thing, like, get out of your head. What's purity? What's from love? What's from the heart, regardless of the source?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's easy because I really will go down, really think about these concepts of, man, that's fascinating. And I'm doing it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool, I'm adding another layer there of get out of your head, go to the heart, and really, right, neutrality from a place of purity. That's where I would love to be every day. Like, bring it back to nothing, bring it back to purity. Okay, now open endless opportunities and possibilities. Now what?
Yeah. Well, what you're talking about, Tracy, is trusting your heart, which that's a whole episode in itself, but it ties into exactly what we're talking about, right? Through the History Channel again says, oh, it's the heart, right? And it's, man, the more and more you practice self-love and trusting your heart, you're trusting your own wisdom. And that's why, and then you hear a channel say it and you go, oh shit, I felt the same thing, right? And it's almost like, for me, I think when a channel comes across our page, or we belong in their community, for us it gives us our own personal validation, right? That as you deepen your own practice, your trust, that trust in the heart just grows and grows and grows, right, Renee?
Absolutely, absolutely. And for me, it really sort of was very similar to yours, Patty, like recognizing that I'm trying to, exactly what Tracy said as well, I'm trying to figure this thing out. I have that history channel playing in my head and I can't. We have these experiences within us, and that's what we're going to go to. We're going to go to the thing and we're going to jump down this rabbit hole of, okay, well, I can do this, or I can do this, or I can do this, I can do this. That's the history channel talking. And for me, it was that recognizing that, okay, wait a minute, I don't know the answer here. I don't see a way out. I'm in this box and I cannot see my way out of this. So it was really taking that breath. And I remember somebody saying to me, well, your heart knows. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell that means. Like, don't tell me the heart go into my heart. I don't even know what the freak that is. And because, I didn't really recognize love or all that stuff back then. So it was that piece of like talking about my heart, like, what the heck does that even mean? So for me, it was that aspect of then saying to myself, okay, I don't know the answer here. So I'm going to be exactly what you said, Tracy. I'm going to be open to the possibilities. Somebody bring me some sort of answer. And I didn't know what I was saying, who I was talking to, because it wasn't like I was really in this field, and going into that aspect and really buying into, my stepmother's words, when I was young, and you're never going to amount to anything. You're stupid. You don't know, blah, blah. Like all of that was playing. I'm like, well, I'm too stupid to even know. Like, I don't know. But what was really interesting was when I said, okay, somebody has to bring me this answer. Like I'm open for it because I have exhausted anything and I'm in trying to figure this out and I can't. It was interesting to me how later I recognized I took a deep breath in. It was that. And that really, like now, because I can see energy, now I see when somebody does that, it recenters the body. It's like, and come into that piece. And a lot of people are going down the rabbit hole of being in the head and trying to figure things out and whatever. And when you're saying go into the heart, recognizing that the heart really doesn't have an emotion. And I don't know if we've said this on another episode, we were just in our conversations, but a lot of people say, oh, I was in the heart. I totally got it. I was excited about doing this thing and it didn't work out and da, da, da. And I'm like, you don't know that it didn't work out. You're not seeing the whole big picture. You're human. The History Channel is telling you it didn't work out because it wants it to be a certain way that's not how it's going to work out. But following the heart is actually, there's no emotion to it. It's just a knowing. You're just going through. You don't know why you're doing it. You're just doing it. But getting out of that head for me was really difficult because I'd worked for an attorney for 15 years and everything was, this is the way it is. Yeah, it's black and white. And it really was difficult to get out of that piece of trying to figure things out or trying to understand and just sit back and be, okay, listen, I'm not in control here. I don't know the big picture. And I'm just going to breathe and let it come in and allow it to just do whatever the heck it's going to do.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
100%. And I want to say, for anybody out there that's a scrapper, I
Mm.
was a scrapper. It totally didn't serve me because I was just like, okay, no, I'm going to solve this no matter what. And then realizing that scrapping didn't serve me at all because it was still the struggle bus. Can I be resourceful? Yes. Can I learn? Yes. And then that, again, it's not trusting the heart. And you brought up a really important thing, and I think we touched on this in one of the previous episodes too, about the heart and even about love, that love is actually a state of being. It's a state of being, and like our human, it says, oh no, it's an emotion and people can steal it from me. No, it's actually a state of being. And I'll tell you, Renee, I had the same thing. And can I tell you, for a year, I was in this community and they kept saying, now drop into your heart. And I was like, okay, my elevator went down from here, but I don't know where the hell it went because it I couldn't connect that. And when I was able to understand the heart's the GPS, our GPS is the guidance that comes from your soul that is immune to fear. So when and I still get goosebumps when I say that, because for me, that was like, I felt like I got out of this box that I had been trapped in. And then I was like, okay, now I get it. And then you start to it's that little sense. Oh, okay. You really understand what it means by being guided by your soul. And the way you put those pieces together is, what am I passionate about? While you're engaged in your passion, you are indulging your soul. And it's kind of like that's how you pick up those little crumbs and get going.
Yeah. And sometimes it's difficult to know what you're passionate about. Because I remember, somebody saying to me, well, what do you want to do? Like, what's your passion? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what does that even mean? And they're like, well, what do you do for fun? I'm like, what fun? I don't even know what fun is. Like, it was such a weird concept. That's not what, childhood really was, or not what I remembered of childhood. Because my siblings remember all these fun things, and they'll say something, I'm like, I don't remember that. But so it's that piece of recognizing, first of all, we went through things. We've been on this field for a long, long time, right? We've been, on these journeys. Things are getting easier and easier and easier and easier. You don't need to go down all of these paths that we went down. It's so much easier now. The energy is continually shifting and changing on a daily basis. We've got so many millions of energetic shifts that we're feeling, or that you're not feeling, that's happening. But so if you had done this little aspect of like, okay, I don't know what dropped into my heart means. Like you said, like they're saying, like, I don't know where that's going. I don't know what the hell's happening. But if you say, I'm going into a place of neutrality, and just saying that is giving your body that direction, and it starts to happen. Pay attention, because then all of a sudden there's a nothing, or there's not your mind's not going a billion miles an hour. And then it's weird. It's weird. Like when my mind was shut down for probably a second, which felt like freaking 15,000 hours. It was insane.
Right.
It's that piece of recognizing that, okay, wait a minute, this is okay. And the more you ask for neutrality, the more you're going to go into that state of being, which is exactly that love, that being in the heart.
Yeah.
And also, I want to throw this in for everyone who might be like, I don't get it. I still don't get it. Like, whatever. But Renee, you said it. The heart doesn't have emotion. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't, for me, we go to neutrality first and go to the heart and the love, but then we can look at the energy of anger or the energy of sadness, because I don't want to discount that for everyone out there. That is true and that is powerful. As long as you don't dig into the story, you don't stay stuck in it. But I can say for me, my biggest downloads of working stuff through or seeing it a different way, they usually come from a place of a energy. I don't really, let's not use the word emotion, an energy of anger or intensity. I like that. Like, I choose to have that in my life. I make a choice, and I do it knowingly, not to always be loving. Now, I'm coming from a base of love. I'm coming from the heart, but also opening yourself back up to, I'm really freaking irritated right now. Okay, what am I going to do with it? Why and what and how can I see it? And can I see it different? That I'll tell you, that's where I get most of my juice, is not sitting in a place of love, of coming from a heart-centered neutrality and now looking at it. Are you getting the difference? I'm not going hot into a situation. It's a step back, get neutral, go in your heart. Okay, now what are you going to do with that?
Yeah. Well, important to point out, Tracy, that you've also mastered this, and you're not suppressing that feeling that's coming up. You're being curious about it and going, oh, okay, where's this? And that's a difference then. Oh no, I don't want to be angry, right? Or getting into a full-blown rage. And when you're in a rage, you're disconnected. You're unconscious again. And so there's, there's a refinement there in, oh, okay, let me play this out. You're brave enough to feel it. and then be curious and say, oh, okay, this came up. I think it's important to point that out, so that you have to write. It's the awareness of, okay, wait, am I in a blind range, or am I, oh no, this has got my attention, so where am I being guided to look next from a place of neutrality?
Well, and I think it's also important to point out, we're not saying, or at least, my point, I'm not saying don't feel your emotions, don't feel anger, don't feel, but you have to feel those things. A lot of people, like, as I was coming up in this thing, they're like, okay, no, you shouldn't be feeling that love. That's not right. You shouldn't, like, and it goes right into what we've learned where you're like, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Oh, you shouldn't be angry. No, you should be. You should honor what you're feeling. So if you're feeling that anger, okay, exactly what, I think you were saying, Tracy, and it's just another way of saying it, I believe, is, all right, I'm feeling this, and what do I want to do with this? Is this how I want to show up in this moment for this, person? Usually it's like family or whatever. Is this how I want to show up for this? Or why? What's triggering this? What's happening within me that is triggering this response? And when you start to be aware of that conversation with yourself, of like, okay, why is this triggering me? What's happening? It might have nothing to do with that person. If something
Oh,
that's
it
going
usually
on with
doesn't.
that,
It usually doesn't. Yeah.
yeah. That's why I always say to everybody, like, when you recognize, what's going on inside, because it's always a reflection of this. So whatever's happening in your life, all a reflection of what's inside of you. So you're angry or faint, whatever. Why? What is this? And it's not that you have to go into the why and like figure it out. And I'd really recommend you not. And I don't know how you two feel on that,
No
because
rabbit holes.
no, because it just brings you down this rabbit. Okay, what do I have to do? How am I going to clear this? What's going to happen? We have to remember that those were all experiences. And I know a lot of people say, well, those were lessons. That's never what I got from the healers and everybody else. These are experiences that we chose to come here to have. So now we're judging that experience as something other than perfect, because yet again, we don't know the big picture. We know this picture. So it's this aspect of recognizing, saying, okay, look, I don't know the big picture in this, and I feel really frustrated, or I feel angry, or like, screw this, whatever we want to say, do it, get it out. Don't hide it, don't store it, because it's all that does is create an energetic separation in your body, which eventually comes out in some other way. So really honor those feelings, and don't think we're saying, or at least I'm not saying, like, oh, go into love all the time, because sometimes that's just not possible,
Oh,
right?
absolutely true, Renee. And um, I wrote a note down because I think we can practice changing our language. How often do we say something comes up and we say, let me think about that,
Mm.
right? And here's the truth of what we need to do. Hi, oh, instead of I need to think about that or let me think about that, I need to let this go completely, and then I'll circle back with you. Literally, this is the moment, like when you feel like you're going to jump on that struggle bus, I need to let this go completely. And then your personal work is, okay, now am I, you must be the observer of that emotion. People say my emotions took me over. No, through higher consciousness, we have the ability. Higher consciousness is the observer. That is the neutral point, and observe it. And from that point of observation is, yeah, okay, let me feel this. And then, right, instead of this happened to me, that is where the piece comes in. Okay, this did happen for me. And the observer is going to help guide me to unveil what that is so that I can, I always say, feel it, heal it, let it go.
I like that. Yeah, that's perfect. And I think we've just got so used to saying exactly, Patty, you said, like, oh, the emotions took me over. For me, and I know, like, in my younger days, like, it was like that anger would be crazy, like over silly, silly things. Like, I remember going into the cabinet where the towels were in the bathroom, and oh, God forbid, there was a blue towel mixed in with the pinks. Oh shit, everything came out of that kind of screaming like a crazy woman. Like, it was like, oh my God. Like, in recognizing I was trying to control something in my life. And finally, when I finally was like, okay, look, I can't go through life like this. This is insane. Like, I don't want to be angry all the time. And that's what it was. And recognizing there was just a lot of childhood traumas that I really hadn't dealt with or really hadn't looked at. And it was that point I said, okay, you know what? I am angry about this. And the old way of doing things, and it works for a lot of people. It just wasn't my way. The people that I looked to, and they were like, okay, we're going to get into that, and you've got to, go through it again. And I'm like, look, at what I remember, I wish I didn't remember. There's no way in hell you're getting me to go back through that. Like, absolutely not. And that's when I had channeled the message from Archangel Michael. And it was amazing because he said, you don't need to go to, it's in your cells. You have it in your body. You have to give it the permission to go. And I know that that sounds really easy and it may not work for everybody, but for me, that's what worked. And I remember channeling that message and looking at him going, oh my God. And, going to wake my husband up, who wanted nothing to do with this at the time. And I was like, oh my God, I just channeled this message. I gotta try this. And he's like, yeah, no, I gotta go to work. Like, what? Like, I go, but it was then like I was thinking, because it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm thinking, who can I call to try this out on? It wasn't, notice I didn't go right to me. He's telling me, come
To
back
do it for
in,
you.
good for you. And okay. And then there's nobody to do it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to try this. And I really just like laid there and was breathing, not that I recognized that's what I was doing, was taking these deep breaths. And then all of a sudden just feeling this calm over me, which I recognized later was going into that heart, because I wasn't feeling the pain. I wasn't, saying all this shit happened to me and it was horrible. If that stuff didn't happen to me, I would never, ever, ever be on this path. I would not be here today.
Right.
So I thank and I honor that aspect, but recognizing and saying, I know we went through this, and not even recognize I was talking to the child in me who went through that. And saying, I know that we went through this, but that's not who I am now. That's not who I want to be. I don't want to show up. We can't be angry. And I didn't even know who I was talking to. I didn't even know what was really happening. Okay. And I said that, we can't do that. We have to now let this go. I'm your voice. Look at my eyes. And it sounds silly, but now that I can see energy, I see those bodies like looking in people's eyes and saying, oh, wait a minute, I'm not this little child who has no voice, who has no anything. Like, wait, you have a voice for me. And look at all the tools. Many of these people, like everybody like listening to this, you've got these amazing tools that you've learned that you can utilize to help your body move beyond these things. And it's not the old rabbit holes of how do I have to do this? What do I have to do? Reframe that.
Yeah.
Let's let it go and let your system tell you what feels right. Come back to you and feel what's right. Does that make sense?
Like 1,000%, Renee. And I use this exact practice, and it does. When you first hear, you go, it can't be that simple. And I use the mirror. And I use the mirror to intensify it and like literally look in there, because I know when you make connection with you're like, it's true, like the eyes are the window of the soul is absolutely true. You're speaking to any disconnected parts, and it's usually the child that, and saying it's okay for you to go. And that is it real, like for me personally, that worked wonders. And understanding you do not have to go tear a scab off, and it's different because you're observing it instead, right? And there's a big difference between observing it and then reenacting it, or getting into the analytics of it and the why, because now you're in the rabbit hole.
Absolutely. How about for you, Tracy? What do you?
So just a few days ago, I kind of was, wrote down, and we're meant to have an experience of exploration, not decimation. And, and then I just and then I write, and then I kind of go back to it. But I think we're kind of speaking to this. And I'm talking about respect for everything, for Earth, for ourselves, for everyone else. And so I've been kind of chewing on that for a couple of days, and it's what we're speaking to of, can we just allow everything to be an experience? And, I used to hear people say this about, well, this is like a movie and a simulation. And I totally understand why they're saying that, it just pretend like you're an actor in a role. And what do we want to do? Yeah, but you don't understand, like, this is what happened. And we do all what you're saying, Renee, like, don't go down the rabbit holes. Don't let it all go. But it is an interesting concept to just keep coming back to that of let it be an exploration and a curiosity in every moment of, you're speaking to mirror work or taking a deep breath. Or I was also the other day thinking, oh my gosh, I'm really doing a catch me if you can, because I change my mind daily. What works for me to ground me or to center me or I switch it up every day. Like, oh, no, I don't want to do that today. I loved that yesterday, but today I'm going to do something different. And I'm watching myself being like, man, you are all over the place, girl. Like, can you just get a habit of some sort or a routine? Nope.
Nope.
So that's kind of throwing it to everyone. Like, you do you. Like,
Yeah.
these are all
Follow
great
your own. Yeah.
suggestions, but
What
God, there
feels
are no
good?
rules. There's no rules.
No.
Like, just try and have it be an exploration. Have so much grace with yourself. Try and bring it back to loving you and loving life. And I know those are very, oh, that sounds so simple, but I'm going to say that pretty much every person like us who have, used whatever word, has stepped into greater consciousness, or we all have some really shitty stories. Like, right there, I don't think there's many people that can say, my life's been great since day one. Like, we've all been in the situations that suck and that you're like, I don't know, like, whatever, that works for you, or you have it
Yeah.
so easy, or, that stuff. But I kind of just want to
Absolutely.
put it out there. Like, we've all been those suck situations. We
Yeah.
get it.
Oh, absolutely. And that experience is what drove us. And Renee, I love that you use this, and it's such a great tool, is cancel that. If you cancel that and replace it
Yeah.
with the opposite. And this is speaks exactly what Tracy's talking about. So if you're going down the rabbit hole and then you say, wait, why am I, or your head's making up a horrible story and you know it, and you're like, this is a freaking lie coming to, right? Cancel that and replace it with the opposite. And here's the beauty. You don't need to know. Your soul knows what it is. So you can't pair that with, oh, and the opposite is, because now you're making yourself small and limited, and you're right. You're not open to the full, infinite intelligence. So it's literally by sensing that and going, okay, wait, I want to cancel that thought completely, and I want to replace it with the opposite, because we want the opposite experience. And like, for me, my understanding of my personal journey is absolutely and fully embodying love. And how am I expressing it? By using my six senses. That's, like, for me, very clear. And it's like, okay, well, I chose a situation that had nothing to do with love. I mean, like, I was like you, Renee, where it's like, oh, okay, dip into your heart, or somebody said divine mother, and I was like, whoa, didn't have an experience with that, right? And so it's like, okay, so what do I grab onto? And then it was like, okay, what am I passionate about? Because I can allow that, I can roll with that. And you start with, okay, and like, again, it can be little things, and connecting. And I, the reality I want to create for myself is, how exciting would it be to see a fully awakened world?
Mm,
And that motivates me in such a big way.
yeah.
I just want to say, Renee, I use that tool as I am kind of free form and change all the time. The one that Patty just spoke to, I do use that all the time.
I still use it. I mean, I always use that. Like, cancel, replace it with the opposite. I don't know what the opposite is. Don't care. Like, just give it. And
Yep.
what I think is very important, and Tracy, you had said this, on another episode, and I'm just going to like sort of reiterate it. Like, what if? If you say to yourself, well, what if I could let this go? What would change? Like, what if this life didn't have to be like this? What if I didn't have to hold on to this? What would happen if I let this go? What if I let this go? What would my life be? And then honestly, when I did it, it scared the crap out of me. Because I don't know what the hell my life's going to be. Like, oh my God, I'm not going to wake up crying and, hating every little aspect, even though I have this wonderful life and everybody outside is going, oh my God, you've got it on. Like, yeah, that's not what's happening inside. Like, you know what I mean? So it's that piece of just saying to yourself, what if I let this go? Would it be okay? And what really is crazy, and because I'm going to go back into the thing of like, when I can see energy, I'm telling you, this is what I see happen. Then people say that, say, yeah, I can let that go. I literally see energy leaving different parts, different organs of the body. It does
Yeah.
at least, but when we think we have to hang on to it and be,
Yeah.
congratulations, you're hanging on to it. Then everybody's like, oh,
Yeah.
I got to keep going down this rabbit hole. And what do I have
Yeah.
to do? And really, this to me is like such a key thing. And I was queen of not doing this, stopping, paying attention, and following that through to the end. Not, okay, well, this didn't work. Oh, I may jump onto this person. Let me buy this program. Let me buy this program. Let me buy this. Oh, let me buy this because this is going to help me. This is going to, I was the queen of that. Until I finally had to stop and say, okay, look at all of that stuff. They're all saying the same damn thing, Renee. Just do the damn work.
Yeah. Take
Right?
action. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Renee, one of our viewers actually did mention energy, and so I want to stay on this just for a second. And I think what you just talked about is really important because you're seeing the energy that's been contracted. We've been in it when you're in fight or flight, your energy is contracted and it gets stuck in your body.
Yeah.
And when you say cancel and let it go, can you give us a little tell us a little bit more about how you see it and then the effects and how you can build on that and get some
Oh,
momentum.
absolutely. It's amazing when that whole cancer replaced with the opposite is so phenomenal. Like when I got that, because what they showed me was you're thinking something and you're trying to go down a rabbit hole or you're trying to do whatever. Okay. You're in this fear mode because there's only love and fear in the world. We got a billion different names for all of them, but that's what it is. So you're in fear. So I see and the energy here because it came into your thought, right? But it is got all these feeders moving through your whole body. Billions of other thoughts are attached to that. Okay, now what happens is that energy goes up, and I see what I don't know, you call the universe, whatever. There's something swirling, and there's this little tiny space in between that energy going up in the space. And all of a sudden, something connects in and it just downloads into you. What that energy is, you are connecting in with every single person in the entire world who has that same energetic vibration of that fearful thought. So all of a sudden, and it not only comes down into you, it follows all those billions of thoughts. So if you ever had that experience of saying, oh my God, everything's going on great. And then all of a sudden you have one bad thing happening, you start to spiral. And then all of a sudden you're like, what the hell happened? My whole life was going great. Now everything's shit. Well, that's why, because now you've connected with everything and it just follows everything. But when you say or you think cancel, that energy that was going up, you've told it to cancel the energy. Now it just dissipates like dust particles in the air. It's not connecting to anything. Nothing's coming down to download into you. And then when you say replace this with the opposite, and those are the exact words, replace this with the opposite, do not look for the opposite. I see not only that thought flip over, but the billions in your body all flip over. Your system knows what the opposite is. So if you were saying, oh, I don't have enough money, and they say, oh, I cancel, and your money's flowing to me easily and effortlessly. Well, what about the one that says I don't deserve it? Or I'll never have enough. Like, all the little programs in. No, but when you replace it with the opposite, everything flips over. And the more you're doing that, the easier and easier and easier things to come. You got to catch it though. And even if you don't catch it, like at the end of the day, review your day. If you don't catch it while you're doing it, catch it whenever you do, because guess what? It's still downloading. That energy is still coming into you. You're still connected. So you think about it a week later. Oh, wait, oh my God. Remember when I did that? Oh, cancel all that. Replace that with the opposite. And then I see this whole thing just starts to release
It goes.
and then
Yeah.
release that energy around you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%.
Because I see this happening lately, a lot of availabilities that are beyond what we can perceive. When we're saying replace with the opposite, there's so much available that we don't know. We don't believe in, we don't know, we can't even wrap our heads around. And in that, all of the, yeah, but name a medical condition or, all these, well, science says this, well, this is how the world works. That is dissolving. So when you say that, I see we are also tapping in to the unlimited potential, right? I think a lot of people say, yeah, but I have cancer. You know what I mean? Well, what if cancer cells actually were not what we think they are? What if they could, do you get what I'm tracking here on the replaced with the opposite? We don't even know what the opposite could possibly be. So I love that statement because it is right. We don't know. So we're open to everything.
True. It's true. You're opening to infinite intelligence.
Exactly.
You're you're opening to infinite intelligence. And yeah, Renee, thank you for like digging deeper with that, because sometimes the human mind likes something to chew on.
Yeah.
And if like if you can recognize when you're in contraction versus when you're in expansion, and more, the way I would put it is when you start to spiral down into that, you are now tuning into the shit show. You're tuning into the shit show, and you're going to hear more shit on the shit show. That's going to be your experience. And
Mhm.
then, but if you become the observer and then go, oh, wait, I don't want the shit show. Right. But I know you can't stick a happy sticker on an empty gas tank. You're right. The car's not going to go, but you can go, oh, okay, I'm low. And I wonder what steps I can take. Be curious, go to curiosity. I don't want the shit show. Cancel this and replace it with the opposite. And then really, and at that moment, truly letting it go. And when you practice this, like you can't wait to let something go, because it's absolutely true. I've had many different situations where using this practice where the outcomes, and I didn't actually have to do anything. The situation resolved itself. And that's when you go, oh, okay, I can trust it. And that's when you go, okay, so I have two choices: stay connected, keep my GPS on, or do I want to go to the struggle bus and figure it all out? Right?
Right.
We have options. So we've got about a minute left. What a great discussion today. Tracy, any closing thoughts?
I think that's it. Just, and I'd say do the best you can on yourself, love yourself. We're all just trying to do the best we can. Give yourself the grace, give yourself the compassion, try and stay in that place of neutrality and heart, even if, you're not for 3 days. And yeah, use that. I really do love that tool that Renee shared with all of us. I think it's a great one to practice and see where it goes.
Mhm. Yeah. And I would just say, when you go to bed at night, even if you don't know what it means, just have your whole thought be, I'm filling my entire body with love. And if you want to say in light, that really is a huge tool that will start to shift the way you see things and the way you wake up and everything else.
Absolutely. There you have it. I can't, there's nothing to add to that. Fill your body with love. And if you do it at night, you can do it in the morning too. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much, ladies. What a great episode. And I look forward to seeing you.